Hey folks, how's it going? We're going to look at this website together today called the Stag Company. I'm going to take you through what I would normally look at with a website performance audit and talk about some of the ways that we could improve an abysmal score like this. You can see it's 47 out of 100, firmly in the red, and there's a few issues with some of the core metrics. Here, the largest contentful paint coming in at nearly 8 seconds. We know that 2/3 of users will leave a website if it takes longer than 2 or 3 seconds to load. But within 3.5 seconds, sorry, 3.1, we're not even really getting anything meaningful painted to the screen in this case. So that's the first issue that jumps out at me. Coming further down, you can see that there's an issue with cumulative layout shift, which means that objects on the screen have moved after they were initially rendered. This obviously creates kind of a jittery experience for the user, and it is punished harshly. The next is the LCP, which is mostly referring to the banner here at the very top, this nice picture of Amsterdam. But if we open that up in another tab, it's pretty ugly quality. You would think, well, maybe it's been overly compressed and it's small in file size, but it's not. It's nearly 220 kilobytes. For an image of this quality, I would expect it to be 10% of that. I mean, for 200 kilobytes, I would hope that it would look a lot nicer than it does. So this image is being punished in the Core Web Vitals for its redundant size. We have another issue further down the page with these thumbnails, where they're rendering in the page at about 150 pixels squared, which is quite small. But if we open up the actual thumbnail, you can see it is gigantic, 800 by 600 high. So this means for every single one of those thumbnails, we're loading about 20 times the number of pixels into that small space, even though the images themselves are perhaps still reasonable in file size. Let's have a look. Okay, it's not at all. It's nearly 200 kilobytes per thumbnail. Then you have to consider that each of these is 20 times larger than it should be, but there's 6 of them on the page, so you end up with 120 times the redundant data transfer requested from the page as it loads. So the images are a huge issue, and the layout shift is likely caused by the fact that if we go back to this banner, there's no explicit width or height provided to this element. So it's bound to move around on the screen after it's painted. So that would be the biggest issues with the images, but there's also a very interesting series of problems with the JavaScript. 3 things that I can see is there's a huge amount of JavaScript being loaded. We have these third-party tools, Facebook Pixel, Hotjar for analytics, Google Tag Manager loading in the same scripts multiple times, and then loading Google Analytics in addition to that with analytics and user behavior recording tools such as Clarity or Hotjar working in tandem, although they practically do the exact same thing. So this is something that I quite commonly see if a company has used multiple marketing agencies and are lacking in the technical department. Every new marketing agency wants to come along and implement their tracking scheme without actually removing or acknowledging that those already exist. So we can see straight away in the header, we have these scripts which have to be downloaded as the page loads. Google Tag Manager, as we come down, we see Clarity there, but Google Tag Manager again. As we come a bit further down, we have Hotjar, which is essentially doing the same thing as Clarity. I don't understand why you would have both. Then you have Google Analytics. This should be a part of Google Tag Manager. Otherwise, why are you bothering to use Google Tag Manager? And then you have here a Google Tag Manager once again, and further down, a 5th call to Google Tag Manager script. The exact same script loading into the page 5 times. And if we come into the network tab and filter, we can see that we're adding a lot of redundant main thread work by repeating the same scripts and duplicating services that essentially overlap with their feature set. One other issue that's very prominent with this is if I reload the page and if I clear all the application data, specifically the cookie consent policy, if I want to say that I do not give my consent, you will see here again I'm prompted for the GDPR compliance. And even before I've clicked whether or not I would like to be tracked, here in the network tab, we can see Clarity is already still collecting my information, and the cookie banner has disappeared. I didn't actually choose to accept it, and it has disappeared and is proceeding to submit tracking information about me, which is non-compliant. So you have poorly performing JavaScript, you have redundant JavaScripts being loaded in again and again, the same thing 5 times. You have the use of Google Analytics alongside Google Tag Manager and all of these other third-party services, which are both duplicates, and also they could be consolidated into a single Google Tag Manager core. So those are the main issues that I can see. Those are the biggest obvious wins. There's some other things we could go into, but if we focus just solely on the layout shifts, the paint time, the images issues with compression, and the main thread work with JavaScript, the redundant calls, redundant scripts, and overlapping services, poor use of Google Tag Manager, this page would easily be up into the 90s or above in the green, where it would perform much better with Google search rankings and with the other search engines as well. So if you would like to have your website audited in this way for improved performance, then send me a message on my Upwork profile. I'm offering a complete website performance optimization for $349. We do it once, we do it right, and you never have to worry about this issue again. Get your scores back in the green and get your website fast on mobile, stable for your users, and giving you the results that it should be getting. So thanks for watching.